It seems hard to imagine now, but there was a point in Doctor Who history where the companion role was a point of mockery and scorn.
Doctor, what happened? What happened? What's going on? Doctor, where are you, Doctor? Oh, what's happened? What happened, Doctor? Doctor, what's happening? What's happening, Doctor? What?
Perry!
What?
Shut up!
Now, fans can and do argue their hidden depths, and there's a lot of merit to the paternal nature of some Doctor-companion dynamics throughout the classic series, but that clip from a parody skit on the Lenny Henry show in 1985 was essentially the public perception of the Doctor's companion at that time, screaming, asking questions, running around in quarries and short skirts, with even the producer in the 1980s, John Nathan Turner, promoting the show by saying of new companion Perry, played by Nicola Bryant, "She'll often be wearing leotards and bikinis. A lot of dads watch Doctor Who, and I'm sure they will like Nicola." The show was moving in a more interesting direction towards the end of the run, but everyone was too busy watching Coronation Street, so it was cancelled, only for it to be brought back in 2005 by queer as folk writer Russell T Davies. Sure, we talk a lot about reinventing the Doctor from a posh, often flamboyant authority figure speaking the Queen's English to a war veteran from Salford, Manchester, or the Daleks from a literal joke to sending the next generation of kids behind the sofa, but I think not as much credit is given to how Russell T Davies reinvented the reviled role of the companion. So today I want to dive into that topic, and also make some comparisons to the new companion, Ruby Sunday, who we met after the recent Christmas special. Also, this video was made possible thanks to the support from my patrons. In fact, this topic was voted on by my patrons. Pledge today, and you can get to vote on what gets made next, as well as get early access to future videos. Link in the description.
I've got a choice. Stay at home with my mum, my boyfriend, my job, or chuck it all in for danger and monsters and life or death. What do you think?
Looking back on Rose, the first episode of the show's revival back in 2005, it's kind of mad just how restrained it is. Yeah, it's a mid-2000s BBC drama, so there's only so much they can do in a production sense, but outside of reintroducing the Doctor and bringing back the Autons, a villain not seen for over 30 years previous, you can really see Russell T Davies and the rest of the creative team at the BBC only dipping their toes into the broader Doctor Who mythology. Heck, the Doctor's home planet isn't even named until nearly 30 episodes into the new run. Yeah, in Series 1 we get the Daleks, the Cyberman helmet and unit, but apart from that, it's a pretty standalone show that's not relying on its past. Heck, this reference to 1965's The Web Planet is one of the only proper references to the show's history.
Rose, the oldest inhabitant of the ISOC galaxy, is the face of what?
Now, the original first episode of the show also played its cards very close to its chest. We don't see the Doctor, played then by William Hartnell, until halfway through the episode. We're following school teachers Ian and Barbara investigating one of their students by stalking her in the dead of night. It was a different time. And then, when they discover that their student is an alien and the granddaughter of this strange trickster in a police box, they're whisked away on a 2-year adventure to get back home to London 1963. Over 41 years later in Rose, we have a similar vantage point in Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper. And yes, we start the episode and learn about the Doctor through her eyes. This is obviously not a new observation, and with hindsight, it was the right way to approach this episode, aka not repeating the mistakes of the 1996 TV movie, where Time Lords, the Doctor, the Master, the Daleks, Gallifrey and Skaro are brought up in, no joke, the first 4 lines of dialogue, with regeneration, the TARDIS, the sonic screwdriver, and even the Eye of Harmony following shortly after. Even Doctor Who fans don't really know what the Eye of Harmony is, come on. To quote former Doctor Who story editor Terence Dix, the movie was incoherent crap. No, the episode Rose goes above and beyond to ensure that Rose Tyler leaves the most effective impact possible on audiences, whilst actively avoiding alienating them, and a lot of this is due to her standing in the world. She's 19, so still technically a teenager, but with a foot firmly in adulthood. She lives on a council estate with her single mum, and she has a boyfriend who takes her for granted, but she's happy with him, I guess. I'd say that she has a job at a shop, but within 5 minutes of the episode starting, she's unemployed. The show is going out of its way to ensure that Rose doesn't meet the stereotype of the middle-class BBC main character like the classic series would cast. Now, I'm not here to say that characters like Ian and Barbara or Grace Holloway are better or worse than Rose, but in terms of audience avatars to lead the audience into time and space, I think it's unquestionable that Rose is the most relatable to whatever you would consider to be a quote average viewer. Ian and Barbara are middle-class London school teachers, a science and a history teacher respectively, a stiff upper lip type of profession back in the day, and perfect for the early show's mission statement of teaching the young viewer about the world. But also, this is 1963. The majority of houses did have televisions, but compared to figures in the mid-2000s, where almost 95% of houses in the UK had at least one television, and you can see over the decades television becoming more and more a mass medium and crossing cultural lines and divides. Back in the 1960s, there actually was a middle class, not so much in 21st century Britain, thank you Blair and the Tories. Grace Holloway in the TV movie may be having some relationship troubles.
Your boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
But outside of that, her interests aren't exactly aligned with your average audience member. She's a surgeon in the private American healthcare system, a member of the board of trustees at her institution, and is a fan of opera. Yes, the image of her running down the hospital corridor is mwah, iconic, mwah, but it's safe to say that your average viewer watching Fox on a Tuesday night would rather be watching Roseanne. Well, in fact, that's what they did. I could talk about the drip feeding of the Time War or the use of the Autons as the villains to further hit home the idea of Russell T Davies wanting to make this as accessible as possible, but let's try and keep this on topic and continue exploring Rose Tyler's utility as a character. Now, the episode does show her as proactive, searching for the Doctor on not Google and finding Clive, essentially the stand-in for the hyper-obsessed older fan who, yeah, does die at the end, but we see he has a functioning family life, and that his Doctor Who fanshed is just a fun quirk from his wife's perspective. Rose actively chases the Doctor down, partly because she's unemployed and she has the free time now, but because she's drawn into the mystery at the centre of the show. Doctor Who. Going through the classic era, it's kind of amazing how many companions didn't really have much of a choice when it came to travelling with the Doctor. There are very few "Can I come with you" scenes across the first 26 years of the show. Susan is family, Ian, Barbara and Tegan are essentially kidnapped, Vicky, Victoria and Nyssa are orphaned and have nowhere else to go, Steve, Dodo, Ben, Polly and more stumble into the TARDIS and just stick around. Liz, Joe, Romana and Mel are, in brief terms, just assigned to the Doctor.
Doctor?
That's the new assistant.
The fourth Doctor even points out this skewed dynamic in his final story.
I've never chosen my own company.
And for the most part, he's right. The actual active recruitment of characters with agency are the minority of companions. Not with Rose, however. She is warned of the dangers by the stand-in of classic Doctor Who fans, and is invited to come travel with the Doctor, which she does as soon as she's told that the police box travels in time.
By the way, did I mention it also travels in time?
I love this because textually there is no hint to this machine being a time machine in the episode up until that moment. Were there 10-year-olds watching this in 2005 who learnt that for the first time with that line of dialogue? Brilliant. Stunning. Once again, I'm not saying that Rose is better than, say, Vicky, because Rose has more agency. Remember, we're dealing with a character who has been tailor-made to introduce a new generation of audiences to Doctor Who. This meta-text almost became the actual text at one point, with one early concept for Rose would reveal her to have been created by the Doctor to become the perfect companion. And this new audience have become acquainted to shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so perceived static characters like in the classic series are not going to cut it anymore. We've got long-form character story threads here, with Rose's family, her on-again, off-again relationship with her boyfriend Mickey, a deceased dad who she meets a few episodes later, and even after this he's still brought up again. There's a constant through line with Rose throughout her 2 seasons as a companion, which feels night and day compared to some of her predecessors. Like Perry, she's an ecology student, and then it's never brought up again on screen. Same deal for Mel being a computer scientist, or Nissa's whole world and family being destroyed and the Master puppeting her father's corpse around. Nope, not gonna deal with that. Check out this reaction to one of the companions, Adric, dying at the hands of the Cybermen.
Oh, he used to fight a lot. I'll miss him. So will I.
And me. But he wouldn't want us to mourn unnecessarily.
Where are we going?
Special treat to cheer us all up.
Now, to be fair to the classic series, Rose here is walking in the slipstream of her predecessor, Ace, played by Sophie Aldred, a working-class teenage girl with parental issues who is being manipulated by the Doctor for his Machiavellian schemes, who would grow more as a person during her limited stint before the show's cancellation. But also, Billie Piper as an actor may owe a debt or two to Bonnie Langford before her, one of the few companions of the classic series to have been previously well known before being in Doctor Who. Billie Piper was unproven as a dramatic actress, but was a pop star before being cast as Rose Tyler, being a #1 chart-topping singer by the age of 16, as well as being a regular tabloid fixture due to her controversial relationship with Chris Evans. No, not that one. It seems silly looking back and wondering whether or not casting a pop star whose last media appearance was the poorly received Spirit Trap movie would be a good idea, because Billie Piper's talent is so obvious from the opening scenes, and she'd just go further in the years to come. But centering Billie Piper and Rose was the obvious decision in hindsight. Heck, the title Rose is actually an abbreviated version of the original title, Rose Meets the Doctor, centering the main character in the title of the episode itself. Rose's world is fast, but dull, originally immersed with pop music as the opening montage was first edited to Girls Aloud music before Murray Gold brought his compositions in. But Rose is just an ordinary person. However, in this context, that's not meant as an insult, quite the opposite. In Russell's eyes, that means she has untapped potential that could have gone unfulfilled had the Doctor not crashed into her life. This is present in so much of Russell's other work, including his pre-Doctor Who collaboration with Christopher Eccleston, Second Coming, where Stephen, who works in a video shop, turns out to be the son of God. And this carries on to his later works, like Years and Years, and also It's a Sin, where they read as such angry pieces of television because ordinary people are destroyed and have their potential unfulfilled due to cruel systems run by crueler people.
I just want to be happy.
Also, and I may be looking way too deeply into this, but with Rose being an ordinary person like billions of others and only stumbling across the Doctor through a direct inclusion of the workplace lottery, maybe you can see just how much Russell T Davies likes to wear his intentions on his sleeve. And due to the episodic nature of the new format of Doctor Who, we don't have a 4-part story to learn all of this about Rose. We only have a few scenes. Audiences could tune out at any time. This is not like back in the 1960s where there were only 2 channels, and to change them you had to get up out of your beige colour armchair to twist the dial on your CRT set. No, you have a remote control now, and you could always put on Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway if you don't like the special effects in Doctor Who. But this shorthand is something that results in Rose essentially being the template for all of Russell's companions moving forward, like centering the season openers on companions Martha and Donna, learning about their troubled family lives, and specifically their lack of father figures. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of Russell's companions leave the Doctor to a whole family unit, with Rose getting her father back and staying in Pete's world, though not by choice. Martha's family are essentially traumatized into staying together after the year that never was in Series 3, and Donna Noble, after having her memories wiped by the Doctor, becomes part of a family again, with a new husband in the 2009 specials, and now a teenage daughter in the 2023 specials. But the strangest reinvention of the companion role with Rose Tyler is the idea that much of this stems from Russell T Davies's love and obsession with the rise of reality TV in the early 2000s. Now, I can't take credit for this observation, as this was the focus of a chapter in John Arnold's book-length review of Rose from the Black Archive, but when I read it, I could not stop thinking about it. Russell not only loves reality television like The X Factor or Big Brother, but considers them to be legitimate storytelling formats. In a 2005 interview with SFX magazine, he cited an incident in the first series of Big Brother where contestant Nick tried to break the rules by manipulating the eviction nominations to be, and I quote, the best bit of drama transmitted in the previous 5 or 6 years. His love for reality television would be externalized through Doctor Who, with the twisted parodies of them in Bad Wolf, including the show Big Brother that he loved so much.
The human race, brainless sheep, being fed on a diet of... Mind you, have they still got that program where 3 people have to live with a bear?
And if you chart Rose Tyler's journey to a reality TV show, like say The X Factor, then the love of this format becomes more apparent. You can view Rose, the episode that is, as Rose's audition, having to hold the Doctor to task and questioning his morals. Then, as she's brought on as a companion, she gets mentored and learns from other celebrities, like the last human, Cassandra, author Charles Dickens, or future Prime Minister Harriet Jones, MP for Flydale North.
Yes, I know who you are.
Moving forward, she literally competes with another hopeful companion and comes out on top, Adam Mitchell, who fails his audition, and then Rose almost winds up losing everything by changing the past and saving her father, jeopardizing the world and her relationship with the Doctor. The penultimate story, Boomtown, almost reads like a character-driven clip show, where it showcases how far that she has come on this journey in comparison to her relationship with Mickey Smith. And then, in the end, she wins the competition. She gets godlike powers, saves the Doctor, and wins the £1 million recording contract, or whatever ended up happening at the end of Series 1. I don't know, that was nearly 20 years ago. I can't remember. I think there was singing.
That's right, I sang a song and the Daleks ran away.
And even if you think the incorporation of reality TV show as a metatext into Rose's journey is a bit far-fetched, it is undeniable that Russell T Davies loves incorporating modern culture into Doctor Who. Outside of the occasional Beatles song or appearances from the Clangers, modern references were something the classic series would typically avoid. But in Russell's Doctor Who, the Doctor is reading through a gossip magazine, he reads The Lovely Bones, incorporates early 2000s music in the year 5 billion, and we of course can't forget his frequent inclusion of British landmarks. Downing Street, Big Ben, and the London Eye appear in just the first 4 episodes. The classic series had the Daleks in London and then the Post Office Tower, but with Russell, it just doesn't stop. He drains the Thames, he nukes Buckingham Palace, and stacked the show with celebrity cameos and TV references. Hey, so I started working on this video in early November 2023, but it fell to the wayside due to the 60th anniversary and other commitments, and during that time, we've already met and maybe even said goodbye to brand new companion Ruby Sunday. While the dust hasn't even begun to settle on this era of the show yet, I think it's worth talking parallels between Rose and Ruby for this video, aside from the superficial ones. You know, blonde teenager with a 4-letter name beginning with R, who lives in London with a single mother, and travels with a Time Lord in a leather jacket. The main difference in the framing between Rose and Ruby is that while there are a lot of scenes in the church on Ruby Road that follow Ruby's point of view, the world is not exclusively seen through her eyes. We get the Doctor saving the taxi from the falling snowman before reporting to the police officer, and when Ruby disappears in the 3rd act, we have totally swapped audience POV characters to the Doctor before we swap back to Ruby again for the TARDIS reveal. Back in 2005, the first substantial scene that didn't take place from Rose's perspective was Mickey and Jackie being attacked by Autons, but even those are interspersed with Rose-centric scenes. And after that, the steward reporting the Doctor's TARDIS over the speakers in the end of the world, and the Doctor then overseeing its move. From this point onwards, Rose and the Doctor share the audience's perspective for the rest of the modern era. Whilst Rose was the unquestionable audience surrogate in 2005, in 2023, the Doctor and Ruby are on more or less equal footing because, well, we're not introducing this concept to a new generation anymore. Sure, new audiences can hop on board here, but Doctor Who is a pop culture staple now, not a relic from a previous era. The class element is still prominent, but it's not as out in the open. The Sunday family have a nice flat in London, Ruby is in a band with a good group of friends, and may even be on the brink of reality TV stardom thanks to a gig with Davina McCall. See, there's Russell with the populism and reality TV angle again. A lot of this is shorthand on Russell's part. It's very easy to sympathise with Ruby, as she's like a fairy tale protagonist who was left at the steps of a picturesque church on Christmas Eve, but what really sticks out here is the festive shorthand, from iconic stories like Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol, or Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, where we see what the world would be like without the main characters in it. Carla and Cherry Sunday are miserable, the found family whose photos cover the fridge are gone, and the world seems a much darker place without her. In 2005, Rose went down in the basement to drop off the staff lottery money, but in 2023, and forgive me for the forced metaphor, Ruby is the winning ticket. Rose Tyler was not just the new Doctor Who companion in 2005, but she was an embodiment of Russell T Davies's overarching philosophy to make Doctor Who as big and as popular as possible. Let populism reign. It may seem like a kitchen sink approach, but you cannot deny its success. Hey folks, thank you so much for watching this video. This is kind of a bit of a different format, a bit of a style change from previous video essays that I've done, so I want to hear your feedback. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if you liked the formatting. If you did like this video, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment down below, because it really helps me out as well. Like I mentioned before, some of the observations in this video came from John Arnold's brilliant Black Archive book-length review of the story Rose. Honestly, it's a terrific read. Check it out. I'll put a link in the description to where you can pick up an ebook or even a physical copy of this thing. Terrific stuff. Thank you so much, John. Also, some of the music in this video was done by some incredible Doctor Who fan composers. I've linked them in the description as well. They're incredibly talented individuals. Subscribe to their channels, listen to their music, buy their music on Bandcamp or wherever they host their music. Just support them. We've got some incredibly talented people working in this space. And I'd also be able to showcase more of this in future videos moving forward. So if you do your own Doctor Who remixes or music or cover songs, then please let me know and I can feature them in future videos. Next up, this video topic was voted on by my patrons. They were given a choice between a video on how Russell T Davies reinvented the companion role or how Chris Chibnall reinvented the Weeping Angels, and this video topic won out. So with the release of this video, we're going to be putting another Patreon exclusive poll up where patrons have a few weeks to decide whether or not I'm going to talk about the unit dating controversy. I'm going to break down exactly what on earth that bit of discussion is all about, because I know that that's one of the big question marks from newcomers getting into this show. Or I'm going to do a video breaking down every time the Doctor has been a villain in a particular story, or at least the Doctor actor. The Massacre, Meglos, Nightmare in Silver, I'm going to break all of those stories down. So if you haven't already, check out the description, become a patron, you can help to support this channel, keep the lights on here, you can get your name in the credits like these beautiful people. These people also got early access to this video, and I want to give a shout out to these particular patrons. Adam Grattan, Ben Langdon, Brandon Kay, Cheaper City Blues, Christopher McDonald, Daniel Davis, Darius, Darren Carver-Bousinger, Dean Jones, Dreamer Who, Dylan Whitaker, Air Hoovian, Ginger Animator, High Lord Wolnir, Jack D. Evans, James Hudge, Joseph Adams, Lard Dragon Ezra, Leela, Maria Bergman, Marianne Mogensen, Mario Fanboy 15, Michael Serrano, Miranda Logan, Nick M, Palex, Pat Andrews, Randall Sprinkle, Raven Woods, Reese Lloyd, Ross A.T. Stewart, Ryan Duncan, Sam Montgomery, Samuel Whitaker, Sarah Parker Shemilt, The Evil Dalek, The Brit Sniper, The Scarlet Watcher, Toby Loxton, Will, and Yavenu. Thank you so much to all of my patrons, thanks to you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.